Startups are broken, and here's why the smartest entrepreneurs are buying 6 to 7 figure businesses in 2025. So what if you could skip the uncertainty, the burn rate, and the years of trial and error and step straight into a business already producing 6 to 7 figures in profit? And while 90% of startups fail, 95% of SBA-backed acquisitions succeed because you're not starting from zero. In this video, I'll break down why acquisition is the smartest path to ownership in today's market, and how professionals and operators using smart structures, seller financing, and lender-backed funding to buy real cash-flowing businesses, often with little to no personal capital invested. Hey, I'm John, and welcome to another power-packed episode from Deal Founders, the trusted U.S. gold standard in business acquisition, education, and guidance. Here, the nation's top advisors, operators, and lenders come together to help people like you buy real, profitable small businesses with confidence, clarity, and the backing of over $20 billion in closed deals. And we're not just another course or coaching program, we're a US-based advisory and training firm built to help working entrepreneurs, investors, career changers, consultants, and first-time buyers acquire real, profitable businesses without needing millions in the bank, an MBA, or years of trial and error. At Deal Founders, we don't teach theory. We give you the full A to Z acquisition system, how to find deals, how to structure offers, how to get them funded, and how to negotiate, close, and operate post-acquisition, all with expert support at every stage. We're backed by a powerhouse advisory board with over $20 billion in closed transactions, and a funding partner who's financed over 700 SBA-backed deals with a 95% success rate. And we've helped people just like you buy businesses in HVAC, e-commerce, logistics, agencies, cleaning, consulting, manufacturing, even SaaS. There's no corporate jargon, no hype, just real deals, real support, and a proven process that works. Whether you've never owned a business or you've tried starting one and hit a wall, you're in the right place, because today I'm going to walk you through why buying a business beats building one in nearly every scenario. We'll talk about the truth about startup grind that nobody ever talks about, why 2025 is the single greatest time in history to become an acquisition entrepreneur, and how to get started, even if you're not rich, technical, or connected. So buckle in. This isn't another business video. This will completely change the way you think about ownership, wealth, and your next move. Let's start with what you've probably been told. If you want freedom, start a business. If you want to control your time, build your own company. But here's what they don't tell you. Most of those startups, stories that you hear about, the flashy exits, the $1 million launches, they are the exception and not the rule. What's the actual rule? Well, 90% of startups fail. And according to the US Bureau of Labor Statistics, here's the truth. 20% of new businesses fail in their first year. 50% fail within 5 years, and only 30% survive 10 years. So let that sink in. Only 3 in 10 businesses make it to year 10. And even among the survivors, many are just scraping by, barely profitable, owner-dependent, and still stuck in grind mode. And why is that? Because starting from scratch means you're going into battle with 0 customers, no systems, no brand equity, no team, and most of the time, no revenue. You're betting on an idea, not a working machine. You're spending 12 to 24 months just to figure out if the idea has legs. And often, by the time you do, you're out of money or out of motivation. Does that sound familiar? That's what nobody warns you about in the startup world. You end up on this hamster wheel of launching, failing, pivoting, rebranding, reinvesting, and then burning out. Now, let's flip the script. What if instead of spending years trying to validate an idea, you stepped into a business that's already validated and profitable from day one? What if instead of building from zero, you bought something that already works? Well, welcome to acquisition entrepreneurship, where you don't build the machine, you buy the machine and then optimize it. Now here's the magic most people don't realize. When you buy a small business, especially in the $500,000 to $5 million revenue range, you're buying more than cash flow. You're buying a proven product or service, real paying customers, a working team, systems and SOPs, years of brand equity, recurring revenue, and often 20, 30, even 40% net margins if you start looking into online businesses. And this means day one, you've got revenue coming in. Day one, you're not guessing, you're stepping into something that already works. Day one, you have leverage, systems, staff, customers, cash flow. You're not starting from scratch. You've skipped the hardest part, building from zero. And that puts you miles ahead of anyone trying to do it the old way. And here's what's even better. You don't need to reinvent the wheel. You just need to step in and improve what's already there. Let's look at some of the core advantages side by side. Let's break it down in plain English. And when you start from scratch, you're stepping into a world of zero income, a 90% failure rate, no systems, no team, and months, sometimes years of trial and error. And you're burning through cash just to get to break even. And even then, you're still figuring things out on the fly. But when you buy a business, it's a different game entirely. You walk into immediate cash flow from day one. The failure rate drops drastically. SBA-backed acquisition loans have a 95% success rate. You inherit proven systems, a trained team, a working operation, and a product or service that's already been validated in the market. Instead of sinking capital into an idea and hoping it works, you're investing into a machine that already runs, and it just needs a smarter operator. That's the difference. I still remember the first time I saw this comparison laid out side by side, build versus buy. I was sitting across from one of our advisors looking at the numbers on a whiteboard. On one side, zero income, high failure rate, no systems, all risk. On the other side, proven cash flow, existing team, low risk, and a clear path to scale. And I leaned back and I thought, why the hell is no one talking about this? And that was the moment that it clicked. It wasn't that buying a business was easy, it's that building one from scratch was needlessly hard. And once you see that, you can't unsee it. The smartest path isn't always the loudest, but it's the one with leverage, clarity, and real upside from day one. And no, this isn't just for private equity firms or millionaires. This is now accessible to everyday professionals. And why? It's because of tools like SBA financing, seller financing, earnouts, smart deal structuring, and more on that soon. But just know this, that most of our members acquire their first business using 95% outside capital, not their savings, not risky bets, just strategic financial modeling and a process. So now you've seen the contrast, build and burn or buy a profitable business and optimize. And with the market that we're in today, the opportunity is massive. All right, let's zoom out for a second because this isn't just about buying any business. This is about timing. And here's what most people don't realize. In 2025, it's the single greatest time in modern history to buy a small business. And why is that? One word, demographics. Let me explain. Every single day in America, over 10,000 baby boomers retire. Many of them are business owners and they've been running profitable companies for 20, 30, sometimes even 40 years. And they've built something real, something valuable, something cash flowing. But here's the problem. They don't have a succession plan. Their kids don't want to take over and they're not trying to go public or sell to a VC. They just want out. They want a clean exit, a fair deal, and someone trustworthy to take care of what they've built. And that's where you come in. Let's look at the numbers. There are over 12 million small businesses in the US. Over 50% of them are owned by people aged 55 or older. Roughly 70% of those have no exit plan, and this means millions of profitable companies, HVAC, logistics, e-commerce, accounting, cleaning, manufacturing, digital agencies are quietly hitting the market, and for the first time in history, there are far more sellers than qualified buyers. And that imbalance it creates one of the biggest buying opportunities that we've ever seen. Now, let's talk about where real deals are happening. You might find a gem on public marketplaces like BizBuySell or Flippa, but the truth, the very best deals, the most flexible sellers, the most attractive terms, the lowest multiples are happening off market. And these are businesses that you won't see listed. They're uncovered through direct outreach, warm intros, lender referrals, and quiet broker pipelines. And here's what makes off-market so powerful. Sellers are often more motivated. They're open to flexible deal terms. And we're talking 50% to even 100% seller financing in some cases. And the multiples often far below what you'd see on market. And why? It's because off-market sellers aren't looking to run a bidding war. They want a clean, fast exit with the right buyer, and they're willing to make it work. So if you're serious about buying a great business on smart terms, you need to go where real opportunities exist, and that is off market. And this is what we call the generational transfer window. And it's the biggest shift in small business ownership that we've ever seen. Over the next 10 years, an estimated $10 trillion in small business assets will change hands in the US alone. In 2025, we're right at the beginning of that window. This is the gold rush for business buyers, and most people don't even see it. These sellers aren't asking for crazy prices. Most of these owners don't want a 10x multiple. They're not running a flashy tech startup. They want 2.5 to 3x of annual profit, as long as you're qualified, respectful, and can close. And with the right structures, combining tools like SBA loans, seller financing, and earnouts, you can acquire a $1 million business with little to no money out of pocket. And at Deal Founders, we show acquisition entrepreneurs how to use financial modeling and creative structuring to engineer deals where the business itself covers 90 to 100% of the purchase price. That means you keep your capital intact and use leverage intelligently, not recklessly. We've helped professionals close deals with as little as $0 out of pocket by stacking smart terms, positioning offers strategically, and structuring repayment directly from the business's future cash flow. And now I want to show you how it actually looks in the real world. How everyday professionals are buying real, cash flowing businesses using the Deal Founders ecosystem, our proven frameworks, strategic coaching, and in-house deal team. And these aren't unicorns. These are repeatable strategic acquisitions done with precision, not luck. Many of these deals were financed and structured alongside our internal lending experts, including Brad Hedich, who is a part of our advisory board here at Deal Founders, one of the nation's top SBA and financial modeling strategists, with over 1.1 billion funded and over 700 transactions under his belt. And they help our members engineer smarter deal terms, unlock faster approvals, and close high-quality acquisitions with confidence even on their very first deal. This is the same back-end engine that we deploy for every serious buyer inside our network. So let's dive in. Case study number 1, from agency employee to HVAC business buyer. Now, Andre was running a small digital marketing agency, and he was tired of project-based income and wanted a stable, cash-flowing business. And he found an 11-year-old HVAC company doing about $1.2 million in annual revenue, and the seller was a retiring owner. He wanted a clean exit, a strong repeat client base, great ops team, reliable financials. And when Andre acquired this business, it was generating around $1.2 million a year in revenue, but netting just about 13% margins, about $156,000 profit. And he got creative with the deal structure. He put down just $27,000 in cash and structured the rest with a combination of seller financing over 24 months and an SBA loan. No outside investors, no complex capital stack, just a smart, low-risk offer built on seller trust, minimal personal capital, and government-backed financing accepted by a motivated seller. Andre stepped in, optimized the pricing, tightened operations, and made a few key strategic moves. And now, The business is doing close to $1.76 million in revenue, and margins are up to 17%, and it's netting about $300,000 a year in profit. And here's the kicker. The original general manager stayed on, and so Andre runs it in under 5 hours a week. Small down payment, smart structure, strong cash flow. This is what buying right looks like. He's now looking at buying a second business. Case study number 2, e-commerce brand acquisition. Now, Nick had some e-commerce background, but didn't want to start another brand from scratch. And he found an e-commerce business doing $1.7 million a year in revenue. And the seller was overwhelmed. A good product, loyal audience, but weak ops and no automation. And Nick saw the upside. The deal value, $1.5 million. The structure, 85% SBA-backed loan, 10% seller note, 5% cash down. He cleaned up fulfillment, automated inventory management, added an outsourced ops manager, and the result? Profit doubled within 90 days. Runs it 2 hours a day. So now that you've seen the power of acquisition, let's talk about what we actually do at Deal Founders and how we help people like you become confident acquirers. Deal Founders isn't a typical course. It's not watch some videos and figure it out on your own. We're a full stack acquisition ecosystem built for working professionals, first-time buyers, and serious operators who want to buy their first business within 6 months. So if you're serious about buying a business, it's not just about the idea of acquisition. You need a real-world framework. So let's walk through how smart buyers actually make this happen, from sourcing a deal to structuring it and funding it, doing the right due diligence, and getting to the finish line. So step 1 is sourcing the right deal. And everything starts with deal flow. If you're not looking at real opportunities, you're stuck in research mode. The best buyers I know don't just sit around waiting for brokers to call them. They use proactive sourcing strategies like direct outreach to business owners like email, LinkedIn, regular mail, local lead generation from chambers of commerce, CPAs, attorneys, and so forth. Strategic broker relationships for pre-qualified leads, or CRM-based pipelines to track conversations and timing. And most deals never hit the market. And that's why sourcing off-market is a game changer. You're competing with fewer buyers, and sellers are far more open to creative terms. Step 2 is smart deal structuring. Once a deal comes into view, it's all about structure, not price. Smart buyers know how to use tools like SBA financing, that's up to 90% leverage, seller notes, sometimes up to 50 or up to 100% of the deal, earnouts tied to future performance, shared risk models that protect the buyer, multi-entity setups to separate assets and liabilities. And you're not just buying a business, you're building a financing strategy around it. And the best structures often means putting very little of your own capital at risk. So step 3 is getting the deal funded. And this is where a lot of would-be buyers get stuck. They think they need to convince a bank, but the real game is packaging the deal correctly and presenting yourself professionally and getting it in front of the right lenders. And when it comes to deal financing, it's not just about the business. You matter too. And here's what lenders are actually looking for. A strong debt service coverage ratio, meaning the business can generate enough cash flow to comfortably cover loan repayments. Consistent, verifiable financials, clean books, tax returns, and profit margins that make sense. A clear transition plan showing the seller will help hand things off smoothly. Transferable skills in the buyer, that you don't need direct experience, but you do need to look capable. And a realistic, strategic use of working capital, so you're not burning up cash after the close. But here's the part most people miss. You need to present yourself like a deal maker, and that means a polished personal financial statement, a clear resume or business background, a confident explanation of how you'll run the business and grow the company. When you package the deal right and present yourself like a serious operator, you don't need perfect credit, or a giant balance sheet. You just need to make sure to convince the lender that this deal makes sense, and so do you. Step 4 is analyzing the deal and doing your due diligence. Before you ever wire money or sign a purchase agreement, one question matters. Does this deal actually make sense? And this is where sharp buyers double down and weak ones get burned. And here's what to break down. Financial due diligence. Look beyond the P&L. Verify tax returns, cash flow trends, add backs, and seller discretionary earnings. Does the business cover debt service and pay you a salary? Operational due diligence. Who runs the day-to-day? Are systems in place? What breaks if the owner disappears? Customer and revenue risk. Is there any customer concentration? Is the revenue recurring or one-time? And what are the churn rates and margins? Red flag scanning. Be on the lookout for sudden revenue spikes, weak documentation, legal disputes, or liabilities hiding off the books. This phase isn't just about protecting downside. Due diligence is leverage. Spot something meaningful, and you may renegotiate or walk away smarter. A quick note on support, and this is no fluff. If this kind of strategic thinking resonates with you and you're ready to actually apply it, then we've put together something that you'll want to check out. And it's a free 60-minute mini mastermind hosted right here on YouTube. Inside, we break down the exact frameworks that we use with our clients, from sourcing high-quality off-market deals to structuring win-win offers sellers actually say yes to getting funded through SBA loans and seller financing, often with little to no money out of your pocket. There's no fluff, no pitch. Just real examples, real numbers, and a step-by-step breakdown of how these deals actually get done. And we built it to give serious buyers a head start, even if you've never done it before. And the link's in the description. Check it out after this video and watch full roadmap in action. If you've already seen the mini mastermind and you know that you want to buy your first business in 3 to 6 months, then we built something even deeper at Deal Founders. And this isn't just a course, it's a full acquisition system designed for professionals, first-time buyers, and serious operators ready to close. And we work with you across every stage, from deal sourcing and outreach to smarter offer structuring and negotiation, SBA funding and seller financing, due diligence and legal frameworks, post-close strategy and operational ramp-up. And it's all backed by our internal lending team with over $1.1 billion funded and an advisory board made up of real deal makers from M&A, capital markets, tax strategy, and post-close operations. And you'll find the link to apply and learn more right below this video. And that's not all. We also give you access to our advisory board, a group of real M&A experts backing you up. At Deal Founders, you're not just learning theory, you're surrounded by a powerhouse of professionals who have closed billions in deals, built and exited companies, and structured complex transactions across industries. So here's who you have in your corner. At Deal Founders, you're backed by a world-class team of real operators, deal makers, and lenders who collectively have closed billions in acquisitions. Our CEO, Thomas Vandervijver, is a serial entrepreneur who's built and exited multiple businesses across e-commerce, real estate, and hospitality with over $145 million in revenue generated. Our COO, Hussein Tunk, operates a 9-figure portfolio and brings boots on the ground experience from buying and scaling companies both online and offline. And when it comes to funding, we have Brad Hedich, a 30-year SBA veteran and Deal Founders advisor with over $1.1 billion funded and over 700 transactions under his belt. He and his team are your unfair advantage when it's time to structure and finance the deal. And then there's Ricardo Moriano, who's led over $5 billion in transactions across 35 countries, bringing institutional-level M&A strategy to our community. And David Kralik has raised nearly $300 million in capital and scaled 14 startups with multiple exits. Kyle Osman runs 3 funds and is a wizard at low-capital deal structuring. Fabiel Tolhuis is our cross-border tax and legal strategist with 90+ mid-market deals under his belt. And Wesley Carrington, a former Purple Heart Marine and our integration expert, making sure that post-close operations run smoothly from day one. And this isn't a one-man guru show, it's a full ecosystem built by real operators, backed by real lenders, and designed to help you close real deals. So if you're ready to stop watching and start buying, we're here when you're ready. And don't forget to subscribe, because every week we're dropping advanced training, case studies, and playbooks that most people pay tens of thousands for in private coaching. So let's build your first acquisition together.